Hi everybody, it's Robin. Thanks again for joining me. This is another layout for Tupelo Designs, LLC. I have gotten questions on how do you do your paper layering, or I had previously done a grid design. And I wanted to show you a product that can help you out. And I want to tell you that grid design, things don't have to be evenly spaced. They can, but they can also be kind of wonky. And as far as layering a lot of papers behind your pictures go, that can be an intimidating process, even though some people make it look very easy. That's something I struggled with. So these wonderful dies by Fawn, they are the small and large stitched rectangle dies. I have both sets. And when you have both sets, you have every size you need to go from. Within each set, you have one size and then the next size, and there's maybe a ½ inch gap, and then the next size and there's another gap. Well, when you layer the smaller set with it, you have every size you possibly need. So layering is easy peasy, and it just makes things easy. And I love it because there is a faux stitched impression with using these dies, and I just kind of wanted to show you how I make an imperfect grid with this. But like I said, absolutely, you can cut out a bunch of different sizes of papers and you can lay your photo on top and just layer behind really easy, no cutting necessary, and such. I'm also using my Lindy stamp gang. This one is Yellow Rose of Texas. It's a beautiful color. I was showing you a picture of my home, and it was a beautiful summer morning last summer, 2015, and I wanted to pull out some yellow but not necessarily use it in the papers that I had. So I'm just simply taking some plastic packaging that something came in, and I just kept it, and I'm spritzing my stamp inks on it. And then I'm using my water bottle, and depending on how dark you want your color, I put 2 spritz of water to my 1 spritz of ink. And then you just kind of mush it together and you plop it on your page. And I did prepare my page with gesso because this is an American Crafts 12 by 12 piece of paper in white, and it's not a watercolor paper. So I wanted to prepare the surface for mixed media. This is something else I haven't shown, but I do a lot, is I ink my edges of my paper. Sometimes I outline them, which you've seen in my previous videos, but inking with, I like to use a gray color, just kind of adds a little something to the edges. It brings definition. It just kind of makes the papers pop subtly. And that's what I really liked. And I was pulling colors from my photograph. I chose that wood pattern because of my split rail fence in the front yard. But I kind of was like, oh, this is a little too much. So I decided to mount my picture on some black first because I have a lot of shadows in the photograph. And I just thought it would make the picture pop a little bit. And then I end up later placing it also on some scrap green paper I have to pull out pictures from the grass and the trees and such. So I don't know if I've ever scrapbooked a picture of my house before. Eric and I moved here back in February of 2006, and we thought we would just be here for 2 years or 3 years. So we always lived in base housing. We never had our own home. The girls always had to share a room. We never had a yard. We lived in a building where it was like townhomes, but it was on base. So we were always sharing yards with people. We never really had our own distinct space. But leaving Virginia was really very hard because we moved there when our kids were very, very young. My son was born there. So we had lived there for like 9 years. And so it was really hard for my daughter. She had started 6th grade there in Virginia, so she started middle school. Rachel, my oldest. Shelby and Carlton, the 2 after that, they make friends really easy, but it was really hard for Rachel. And not only that, we had to move her halfway through her 6th grade year to again start middle school all over. And it was a move. You know, they didn't want to leave their teachers or their friends. So it was really tough. And so we're like, we'll try and find a place off base, guys. We'll have a big yard for the dogs. We'll try and get you a place with your own rooms. And we knew it was temporary living. Well, we're still here. We ended up staying, and Eric and I talk about building. Whether we do or not, I don't know. But right now, this is still, it's a sentimental home. It's where we raised our kids since we moved here. Carlton was 2nd grade, Shelby was 4th, and Rachel was 6th. So it's kind of fun to document home. So anyway, I pulled out some washi tape from my stash just to kind of ground this grid design, and I pulled out this blue scratch paper. I took a plain white tag that I had and I just simply mounted it on the back of the blue paper to use it as a guide of where to cut my tag. And I wanted to add some blue to pull out that gorgeous, gorgeous morning sky. I'm looking through some old things of my stash that I really want to use up. They're almost done, so I was really excited that I got to use some of these chipboard stickers. And you can see that this grid design is imperfect. They don't match up, but they do go together. And I use different sizes from the different sets. I think the largest one was from the large die set, and the others I think were from the small die set. But if you can, I highly recommend getting both. And these are beautiful. They make card making so easy. You don't have to guess size your card fronts, or if you want to layer them, but you're timid about measuring things out, these just go together. Like I said, the sizes stair step and make it so easy. And then with that faux stitch design, you can get some without the stitch design around the edge if you don't like it, but I love it because again, it just adds something subtle. It makes the layer pop, and it just makes it look really homemade. So I'm bringing out some stickers, puffy stickers in gold, and I'm going to layer up title it Our Home. And that I love that floral paper that I'm working on, but it was a little too busy with the rest of my layout and I needed something else. So I took some more of that ombre paper and I just cut a smaller square. So it kind of looks like a Polaroid frame now, the floral paper does, which I really love. And it gives my title something solid to sit on. And it just really helps bring everything together. So I'm mixing up fonts. I use Our in the lowercase and Home in all uppercase. And I wanted to pull out gold because of that floral paper. It's a tiny print of floral, but there's also little gold flowers on there. So I did need to implement some gold around. I pulled out a bird sticker from that same sticker sheet. I used a lot from the sticker sheet. I was really excited about that. And I used my 3D foam adhesive, which I adore, and I use on every single layout I do. I wanted to pop that birdie up and give it dimension, kind of to match the chipboard stickers up above. Now, I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to put some of these stickers, so I used my EK Success powder tool, which you can see in the top to the left of my layout. And it just, spreading that powder tool over the back of your stickers allows you to move your stickers around because it takes the sticky away. And then when you're ready, then I just simply use my tape adhesive or my score tape and use that to mount it down. Really quick, really easy, and it doesn't make things final right away when you're using stickers and such. I'm using another chipboard piece here. It's a pretty floral from this. I think I'm just about done with that set, which I'm glad because it's years old and I really wanted to get it used up. I needed to bring up some gold from up above, so I did use, as you notice on my title from the sticker sheet, I used 3 hearts beneath home. Well, there was a couple extra hearts left, so I put one up. It says This Life on that chipboard set above, so I put one in between the two, and then I will use that final heart down by my bottom left cluster, and that ties all my clusters together. So when I started off, I really didn't know what I wanted to do besides just having kind of a messy grid design because I really wanted to highlight these dies and of course the inks, which just really make a background subtle or bold. A few of my prior designs I've done for Tupelo, I've used bold backgrounds. So this yellow could be more bold if I didn't mix it with water, but it's very light and subtle. However, I didn't like it just white, so I trimmed a little bit off of each edge and I'm mounting it on this scrap green I had. The scrap green was messed up in the middle of the paper, so it was perfect. Just the edges show, and it really helps that layout stand on its own. I'm just taking my nails now and I'm roughing up the edges just to give it a little texture, and then I'm going to do my usual outlining around the white just to kind of bring some dark elements. I have the dark shadows in the picture, and I had that little bit of black mounted that I put the picture on, and the dark from the bird. So bringing a little bit to the outside edges ties everything in. As you can see up in the corner, they're going to start moving around. I had a couple extra butterflies, tiny butterflies that I had punched out for my last layout that you saw in my last video. And what I do is anytime I use punches or anytime I had scrap paper that I was stamping off on, and I like the different subtle color changes, so I use my butterfly stamp to use that to color, to make my butterflies more interesting. So I just cut out some extra ones and left them in my dish up above because, you know, it saves time for your next layout and it doesn't waste paper that way. So I was really glad I did. I knew I wanted a butterfly. I tried a larger sticker on that sticker sheet. It was a beautiful ombre yellow butterfly, but it was way too big. And I tried a couple different places to make it work and it just wasn't working. So these tiny little orange ones were just enough. I put one on the blue tag to bring that cluster together. And then I put the other one in the bottom with that flower cluster in the bottom left. Now I'm just doing a little bit of journaling. I'm just talking about how long we've lived in this home, and that this is where we raised our kids since February of 2006, and it's a small home, but I love it so much. So thank you for joining me for this video, and please check out the description bar below. I will put where you can find these supplies directly on their website. You click on the link and it'll take you right to the page to where you can put it in your cart to order. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.